I want to say thanks everybody for joining us tonight. This is a great time to be involved in this company. I just want to say this because I've been in this industry of relationship marketing now and some of you may not be looking to share, so that's okay. But let me just share with everybody the advantage that you have if you do decide that sharing is something that you're open to. Timing wise, this company has, and I'm just going to mute everybody here so we don't have any background noise. I will say this, everybody, timing wise, we're in a very, very unique position in the fact that no one really knows about our company yet. I mean, literally, and I know I see Louis jumping on here. He's one of the people who mentioned this the other day. You look at our numbers, we have roughly about 100,000 members globally, and yet 85% of those members aren't looking to share this with anybody else. That means that we have globally about 15,000 members who are actually sharing this with other people. That is a wide open, massive opportunity for all of us. Timing wise is tremendously in our favor. And so I just encourage everybody, realize what we have. Don't beat yourself up if it's not going at the pace you want it to go at yet. Just stay consistent in your activity, because that's what's going to lead you to the success you want. It's not the fast gun out of the gate in terms of running out and just exploding quickly. It's the person who's consistent, because that duplicates. That's something anybody can do. And so timing wise, I will say that we're in a unique spot. Know that, and also know this: we have what's called a non-Me Too company here. What I mean by that is that we can't be replicated. You have other companies that have different sorts of drinks or things like that. Other companies can come and just change an ingredient in there, and all of a sudden they've got the almost exact same product. They go out there and put together a business model, maybe a comp plan that even pays out a little bit more, and then all of a sudden all your customers are running over here. But if you take a look at what we have, everybody, we have in our hands a company that's giving access to gold and silver. This is not just something that you can go out and make overnight. This is something, obviously, you got to go and build the relationships that took 5 years plus for this company to develop. And it led us to where we are today. That's a very, very great thing, simply because of the fact that by us doing that, no one else can come in and take our customers and go over here. We've got something here that we can build that's unique and benefiting everybody else. And when you take a look at the integrity of our founders, integrity of our CEO, and see how good of people they are, we could have bad people at the top of this company, and the company would still grow, but it wouldn't be something that I would want to be a part of personally. And it's also something that I don't think would sustain. So what we have here is something, again, very, very unique. And what I'm going to talk to everybody about, and Annie, I see you out there. I'm going to give you a co-host, if you don't mind, so that you can maybe help me to let in some of the people while I'm training. Would you be open to doing that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. All right. And so I'm going to get started here. Let me share my screen with everybody, because I want to talk to everybody. Now, this is going to be for the person who might be looking just for the member benefits. This is probably not going to be the Zoom that you're looking for, because what I'm going to talk to everybody about on here are really how to go about building a business, sharing this with other people effectively, and how you can get your business growing so that you've got other people that are sharing and duplicating. And it comes down to this. Let me bring up my PowerPoint here. Okay, slideshow. Where's my slideshow? There it is, right there. Play from the start. Okay, let me shrink this up. Okay, so every Monday we do this training call, and just happens to be me doing it this week, and we'll have someone else doing it next week. It's going to be a great training. But every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to give you new content that I think can be very, very helpful for your business. Tonight, what we're going to talk to you about, though, are three-way calls and third-party Zooms, and also personality types when you're dealing with three-way calls. Three-way calls, everybody, if you're not familiar with them, basically what it's doing is it's you connecting your prospect or the person you're sharing information with someone else who's been in the business, another member. And to do that, when you're doing that, it's actually, when you're sharing this, it's giving you more credibility, because your friends and family know you for who you are. They don't necessarily know you as the gold and silver expert. That's why it's important that when we're sharing this with other people, we're not coming across as salesy. We're telling them up front, listen, this may or may not be for you, but we're sharing with them information. And then if they like what they see, we're connecting them with someone else on a three-way call or a three-way Zoom, a third party, to then help answer questions, help fill in the gaps, bring credibility. And some people might be saying, well, I've never done three-way calls. I've been with a lot of people in our industry who've never done three-way calls with their business. I will say this, I've been in this industry of relationship marketing now for close to 30 years. I say this with confidence. The size of your check is going to be 100% dependent upon the number of third-party three-way calls or three-way Zooms that are being done. And I'll explain that in a second. I want to really kind of explain first off why we do these. First off, doing three-way calls does not take away from the idea that we're sharing this with other people. We're getting them to the video. That's our main objective. We want to get them curious. Then we want to get the information to them so that they can review the information. Now, if you're the person who, if you don't have a support team, if you don't have a third-party person that you can go to, what you're going to find is a lot of members, instead of going out there sharing, they're going to be sitting home trying to study and learn everything first. And many people don't want to do that. And also many people don't have the time to do that. And so when you will allow three-way calls to be part of your system here, where you're sharing this membership with others, you're actually allowing members to start sharing immediately without having to know anything. It's not without having to learn everything first. It really is without having to learn anything. And so it's just really their enthusiasm and their excitement. Now, another reason why you want to do it is it demonstrates a support system. See, when you're sharing this with other people, the way my mentality works is that I'm looking at the person I'm sharing this with, thinking I can help them with this membership. But in my mind, I'm also thinking, I'm looking for people who might also want to help me to share. And I'm always assuming that the person, because in my mind, I think it's just such a smart decision to go out there and let people know about this. There's no way to lose. In my head, I'm thinking that. So I'm always assuming the person I'm going to share it with is probably going to be interested in sharing. Even though the numbers may not reflect that, the 85% don't share, I still want to be thinking and showing them through my example a system that they can duplicate if they do decide to share. And so if I'm coming in, I'm knowing all the details, I'm knowing all the facts, you know what's going to end up happening? I'm going to end up having someone who's on the other end. I might impress them with my knowledge, but I'm also going to have someone who probably can't duplicate what I did. I've done that before, and I've had people sit there and say, wow, you're good. I just don't have time to learn everything that you just told me. And I just realized this was my personal prospect that I did this with. I blew them out of the water. I didn't show them a support system that they could have seen, something that they could have done on a very spare time basis, because they could have seen that there was a support system to go to for the answers. Hope that makes sense. The other thing a three-way call does, or third-party Zoom does, is it brings credibility. I want you to think about this. When you go to your friends and you start sharing with them something that's a new concept that they have never affiliated you with before, such as gold and silver, they're not going to be sitting there thinking, okay, well, here comes Jim and he's got all this credibility in gold and silver, so let's listen to him. What they're thinking is, okay, what are you listening to and where did you get this information? And you know what, you might not even have any idea what you're talking about. And people don't want to join someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, or someone that they feel may not have confidence in terms of their knowledge. And so that's why that third-party person that you bring in instantly brings credibility to the membership, to the opportunity, to the company, to you, because it validates what you were sharing. That's why it's important, again, to do the three-way. Also, it allows our expert to share their story. See, a lot of times once we've shared with them the video, I'll say, listen, what'd you like? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest level? And if they're a decent interest level, I say, great. Before we get to your questions, let me do this. I want to introduce you to one of the top people that I'm working with. This person knows the information. They're making great money. Let me see if I can get a second. I'd love you to hear their story. And so people are receptive to a story, but they're not receptive to the closer. So I want to simply get them to listen to the story, where I know then that my expert is going to be able to answer their questions after they've shared their story. But I got them to the table with the idea of saying, listen, I want you to hear their story. And I've never had anybody really, and I've done this for a very long time, say, oh, no, I want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from anybody else. Maybe once or twice in like 30 years. But it's because of the way that I approach people with it. It's like, I want you to hear their story. Let me see if I can get a second of their time. And people are receptive to hearing the story. And that opens the door for them to listen to what we're doing. Another thing is that your expert can then invite your prospects out to an event on your behalf. So a three-way call, you might be having an event in your area, like maybe right in your backyard, or maybe it's even an hour away or something like that. And you might be hesitant or trying to ask your friend to come. But then you put them on a three-way call with me and I say, hey, you know what? You're having an event. It's only about an hour away from you. You really should get there. I'll tell you what, that event there is going to be one of the best things you could do. I'm a third party inviting them out. Believe it or not, your friends and family are more likely to blow off your invitation. However, if you go out there and you have that third party do the invitation, they're less likely to say no to someone that they don't know or even ignore them. So keep that in mind. Your expert can do the invitation out to a big event. That's another reason why a three-way call can be powerful. Also, the expert will close your prospect after they answer questions. So here's another big thing. Some people, they say, well, I got people to the table, but I don't know how to get them to sign up. And I don't feel comfortable closing my friends or trying to sell to my friends. And I hear that a million times. If you take them through the process of saying, listen, I want you to check this out. Great. What'd you like? Oh, awesome. Hey, before we get to your questions, I'd love you to hear my friend's story. Do you have a second? Hang on 1 second. And then you put them on the phone. That expert's going to gauge your friend's interest. They're going to share their story. They're going to answer your prospect's questions. And they're even going to say, listen, are you ready to get started? Are you a 1, 2, or 3? And if you have that happening, then you're going to find that you're going to have people who are going to be enrolling. And at the very, very least, they're going to be thinking about it and they're going to go back and review more information because now they're very, very intrigued. So they're going to help to close your prospect as well. It also demonstrates simplicity and duplication. People don't want more complexity in their lives. They got too much of it right now. So they want to find something that anybody can do and it is simple and duplicates. And that's exactly what this demonstrates. And the other big thing that a three-way call does is it creates a fear of loss in your prospect. Let me explain. If you're coming to me and you're my good friend and you're coming to me with maybe the 4th opportunity this year, hey, listen, I got this great thing I want you to take a look at. I'm like, okay, what is it now? And I'm listening to that. However, if you put me on the phone with someone else and I hear their story and then maybe even a second, third three-way call and I hear their story, in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, there's more people doing this than just my friend. There's that person, there's that person. How big is this? I don't want to miss out. And fear of loss can get that person to take action, or at the very, very least, get them to take you seriously so they want to look into it a little bit further. I will tell you, the fear of loss factor is very, very powerful. You want to have a sense of urgency, meaning that you want to have the mindset of you need to see this. You need to see this. I don't care if you don't get it, but you need to see this. That's my sense of urgency. I don't know when something may happen with our financial system. I just know that gold and silver is something that everybody, in my personal opinion, should have to give them insurance for their money. And at the same time, be able to get into something that I feel is going to be really relevant down the road, in just my personal opinion. So that's why I have a sense of urgency that you need to see this. You need to be aware of this. Now, there are 3 different types of three-way calls. Excuse me. Now, you're probably not going to hear this from many other people. I'm one of the only people in my, and I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but I'm saying this because I believe that there are different types of three-way calls. The middle one is what you're going to hear the most of. But I believe the more three-way calls, the more we demonstrate a system that will get other people doing three-way calls. And again, more three-way calls happening in your team, the bigger your check. Happens every time. The first type of three-way call is the story in invitation. This is rare. This doesn't happen a lot, but you can use it. Basically, this comes before they've seen anything. And basically, they're sharing their brief story and they're inviting them to an exposure. So I'll give you an example. You go up to your friend and you say, hey, I want you to take a look at this, something that I just got started with. Oh, what is it? How's this thing work? What is it? What are you talking about? Oh, it deals with gold and silver. Well, how's it? And they start hitting you with a bunch of questions. And you know what? I've seen you do these things all the time. How is this going to be any different? You know, you might be hearing that question. If that's the case, I may say, you know what? Hang on 1 second. I really want you to hear the story of someone who actually shared it with me, or I'd really love you to hear my friend's story on this. And then I call up and I might say, hey, Lou, can you do me a favor and just kind of share what this has done for you so far? And they might come on and say, yeah. And I would tell Lou, I'd say, listen, they haven't seen anything. We're just seeing if they'd be willing to take a look. And so Lou might come on and say, yeah, this is what it did for me. You know, I've been able to save a lot of money. I now have a lot more knowledge about gold and silver. I'm able to, you know, get some great collector coins. This is really awesome. You should take a look. I don't know if it's going to be for you, but you really should take a look because this is great. Now that third-party invitation from them is going to be so much more powerful than your third-party invitation. And so that's a type of a three-way call that you can use. Oftentimes I don't use this. This is only on that person that you really is a close friend. They just need a little bit of convincing to take a look at it. We don't want to convince anybody to do it. We just want them to look. But this is someone who's really only a really close friend. I never want to be in convince mode. Now, anyone enthused can be this third party because all they're doing is they're just sharing their story and they're inviting to a third party event or some sort of third party exposure. Now, the second type of three-way call is the follow-up, the Q&A, and the close. This is the one everybody hears about all the time. And this is the one you want to be doing the most of. You want to try and get one of these in every day where you're calling up and following up with someone who's been introduced to some information. So in this comes after they have reviewed the Wealth Strategies video, okay? So after they've listened to and watched that video and they've got a good understanding about the membership, that's when you're going to want to do this particular type of three-way. You follow up with them. Hey, did you watch the video? Or, hey, listen, what'd you like on that? Great. Before we go any further, let me introduce you to one of the top people I'm working with. I'd love you to hear their story. Hang on, let me see if I get a minute of their time. Then you bring them in, and then basically they share their brief story. They answer questions, and then they ask them to get started, or they close them. Also, the expert's then going to edify you. So you remember how we talked about earlier about how you've got that person who is looking at you and they're thinking, well, I've never seen you as be the expert in gold and silver. Well, now if you put them on the third party, that third party expert is going to edify you and build you up in your friend's eyes, really kind of make that image of you a lot stronger, that you are knowledgeable in gold and silver. And now in this particular one, the third party should be someone who's experienced a little bit. You want someone who can answer some of their questions if you're doing a follow-up. You don't want to put them necessarily on someone who's a brand new member, just signed up, who's got a ton of enthusiasm. That's awesome. But if they're calling up and you're trying to close them and get their questions answered, you probably want to have someone be the experienced, a little bit more experienced to be the third party in this case. The third three-way call is the welcome call or the welcome Zoom. And this is basically after they've enrolled, and sometimes you might be showing the video and they say, you know what, sign me up, I'm in. So if that's the case, you don't want to say, well, hold on, before we sign you up, we got to get you on a three-way call. You don't want to do that. You want to enroll them. But as soon as you're done enrolling them, you want to put them on a welcome call or a welcome Zoom. That way you can welcome them to the team. Again, having a third party welcome them. The third party welcomes them, edifies you, again, builds you up, and then plugs them into the next event or into one of our training sites or something like that. We get them so that they get to some point. The third party is going to point them to where they can get their membership running or where they can learn more about sharing or whatever it might be. So they're going to plug them in. And again, anyone enthused can be this third party on a welcome call or Zoom. So the only time that you really need to have the expert or someone who knows it a little bit better is on the follow-up sort of three-way call, if that makes sense. Now, how to do three-way calls. This is how it works. Your contacts trust you. So you see the three different corners of this triangle. You have, first off, you, then you have your prospect, then you have your expert or your third-party tool. Now, the beginning, on the bottom, on the base of the triangle, you have you and you have your prospect. Your contacts trust you, so they give you the appointment. Very important. Okay. I don't even know if I recorded this. Am I not recording this? I'm not recording this. Wow. I should have recorded this. I can't believe it.
I have to get recorded.
Now it says recording.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, I
Good.
think it's recorded.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Okay. So your contacts trust you, so they give you the appointment. Now, here's the key. They get, once you've got the appointment and they've seen the information or the third-party tool, or if you're trying to get them to the third-party tool, you have to edify, which means you need to build up. You need to build up that expert or that third-party tool. You have to make them want it. You have to give it credibility in your words, because what that does is that will establish respect that your prospect now has for your expert. So you're edifying. Listen, I want to introduce you to someone. They know the answers. They know how this works, and they're whatever the situation may be. I want you to hear their story. I built up their respect by edifying them. So now my prospect is willing to listen to them. If I just say to my prospect, hey, you got to listen to my friend Steve. He's like, who's your friend Steve? That's what they're probably thinking, because I haven't done anything to build up Steve's knowledge or credibility in this particular field. So I need to do that edification. And I will show you how to do that in just a second. Now, once you've made the connection to your third party expert, you stop talking. You don't interject. You basically sit and listen and take notes and let your expert take over. They'll answer the questions for you or for your prospect. And even if you have some of the same questions, don't jump in and gang up on your expert. You want to basically sit there quietly and let your expert do the talking. They're going to do exactly what we just talked about. They're going to help to answer questions, close them, and then they're going to even edify you. Then when they hand it back over to you, let's say that your prospect says, yeah, okay, I'm ready to sign up. This is very important, everybody, and this is not on this slide, but I want to stress this. If I'm your expert and I hand it back over to you, let's say I say, okay, Joan, and I don't even know if there's a Joan on here, so if you are, I don't think I'm pointing you out. I would say, listen, I'm going to hand it back over to Joan and she's going to help you get enrolled. And I'm going to say, okay, Joan, here you go. And I'm going to basically, at that point, I've, in a sense, hung up. But a lot of times I haven't hung up in the past. I've actually put my phone on mute and I listen. And it's not because I'm trying to eavesdrop. It's because I'm trying to make sure that what's happening after I get off the phone is not being destructive to the process of enrolling that member. And what I mean by that is this. I've had people where once I get off, the person said, I'm ready to go. But then I get off the phone and I listen to someone who's so excited that the person said they're ready to go. They start dumping all the other benefits that the person hasn't heard about on them. Oh yeah, you got to hear about our conference next year in New Orleans. And oh yeah, we're going to be going to the Dominican Republic for our next trip. And you start throwing all this stuff at them and all of a sudden it becomes information overload. And that person who sat there and said, I'm ready to go, now sits there and says, you know what, let me think about it. So we just talk them out of it by overselling them. So when a person says, I'm ready to go, get them enrolled right then and there. They're ready to go. They've made that decision. Don't get them bogged down with other irrelevant facts that aren't going to be relevant to their decision. So my best tip on that. Now, edification and personality types. I'll move this down to the bottom here. So you can see that, and that box won't block it out. Basically edifying the person that you're going to put on the phone with your prospect. You want to try and identify what is the personality type of your prospect, and you want to tailor your edification more towards that person's personality type. So for example, there are really 4 types of personalities out there. There may be more, and there's a mixture of all these. Not any one person is just one. Many people are going to be combinations of several, if not all. But this is how it works. You have, first off, sharks. Sharks are show me the money. That's their phrase, okay? These are people that are competitive, they're laser focused, they're determined, they are money motivated. These are the sharks. So if I'm doing an edification of a person who I know is a shark, I would say, listen, I want to introduce you to one of the top people I'm working with. This person is one of the most successful people. They're making great money. Let me see if I get a minute of their time. I want you to hear their story. So I know that the person is interested in that. So I hit their hot button in my edification. Secondly, a dolphin. Dolphins are, where's the party? Okay. So the dolphin basically enjoys life. They love to have fun. They're sociable. They love to laugh, and they are the life of the party. So they're the ones who, hey, let's have a good time. So a good way to edify someone that you know is the prospect is a dolphin is say, listen, I want to introduce you to Steve. This guy is a ton of fun. You need to hear his story. Let me see if I get a minute of his time. Okay. And I'm not saying that, you might hear me say guys' names, not anything directed at guys or ladies, so don't take it that way, anybody. Third are the whales. Now, whales are, how can I help? So whales' personalities are more that they love to help others. They're very charitable, they're caring, and they're supportive. And so the person who wants to help others, basically what they're going to do is they're going to be saying things along the lines of, hang on one sec. So the whale who wants to help others basically is charitable. And that's the person, again, that you might be saying for the person who is a whale as a prospect. You might say, hey, listen, let me introduce you to this person. This person loves to help other people. Let me see if I get a minute of their time. I think you're kind of getting the idea. And then fourth, you're also going to have the urchins. Now, urchins are just the facts, ma'am. Kind of like Dragnet. I never watched the show, but I know that was a line from there. Okay, so these folks are analytical. They focus on facts and figures. They're detail oriented. Whoops, there's a spelling error there. Sorry, that was my mistake. And researchers, these are the ones who want to know all the details. And so for these folks, again, listen, I want to introduce you to this person. This person knows all the facts. Let me see if I get them into their time. Now, if you're a person and you don't know their personality type, you can somehow maybe squeeze it in. It just has to sound natural. And basically, the way I would often do it is say, listen, before we get to your questions, I want to introduce you to one of the top people that I'm working with. They're very successful. They love to help others. They're a ton of fun, and they know everything about this business. Let me see if I get a minute of their time, because I really would love you to hear their story. Now, I just covered all 4 personality types. I've edified them generically. So even if I don't have that particular individual that's available, I can use that same edification on basically anybody. I've put it into a category that, hey, this person knows how to make money. They love to have fun. They love to help, and they know the information. That covers all of it. And so they're more apt to listen, and they're more apt to be relatable to the person I'm putting them on with. Now, here's the process. When you follow up with a prospect, you're going to verify that they saw the third-party tool. Hey, did you watch that video? If they didn't, you want to re-edify the video. Listen, do me a favor, go back and watch that. I really want to get your opinion, okay? But if they did watch it, you ask a question like, hey, what did you like best? Or what stood out for you? Or what caught your attention? Or what sparked your interest, whatever it might be. Something along those lines. But that way you're going to discover their hot button. You're going to find out exactly what they're looking for, or whatever was the thing that caught their attention or really sparked their interest the most. Third, this is when you transition into the call with the expert. You mirror and match them, okay? Basically a good way to do it. And I'll have people sometimes say, well, don't you know the answers? I would say I do, but what I want you to do is I really want you to see the simplicity of the process, so you can see if you decide you want to share, that it's something anybody can do. So do me a favor, just hear this person's story, and if it's not for you, I'm fine with that. It's the way often I would do it, and people are like, okay, I'll talk to the person, I'll hear what they're going to say. And then again, edify the expert in step 4. Now, once I'm connecting with the expert, step 1, I'm going to call. This is how you do the 3-way call, okay? So practice this, get this down. Don't start learning how to do 3-way calls when you're making a 3-way call with a very important prospect on the line, and then you hang up on them or something like that. So learn how to get the process down. But how to connect with the expert. You got your prospect on hold. You can say, okay, let me connect. I want you to hear their story. So step 1, you're going to hit add call, and you're going to dial in a number. Now your person can still hear you, so don't be saying anything while you're typing in the number. This is the way it is on an iPhone, at least. And then you're going to click dial. As soon as you hit dial, that person is going to go on hold, and you're only going to be on the call with your expert, or wherever it is you're calling on the third party. Once they answer, or once it's ringing, I usually say, I wait for them to answer, and then I talk to them. I'm going to tell the expert without the other party, without merging the calls yet, okay? I'm not connecting the calls because I want to tell my expert a little bit about my prospect before I connect the call. But I have to remember my prospect's on hold, so I can't take an hour to talk about who the prospect is. I can't tell them their whole background and everything. I've got to be short and sweet. So what I want to tell my prospect, or tell my expert about my prospect, is their name, a brief background, just one occupation. I don't have to go back to when they were born and what they did when they were 15 and stuff like that. I just want to tell them what they're doing. The tool they experienced. They saw the 18-minute video, and I want to tell them what they liked. So their name, background, what they saw, what they liked. Tell me quick as the expert. I've got that down now. And then what you're going to do is you're just simply going to step back and say, hey, so-and-so, you're there? Hey, listen, here's Mark, the person I was telling you I want to introduce you to. Mark, this is so-and-so. And then you're going to put your phone on mute. You're going to sit back and you're going to listen and take notes. And then the rest is going to be taken care of for you. Now, at that point, as soon as it's done, when they hand it back over to you, you're going to thank the expert, and you're going to enroll the person if that's where they're ready to go. If they aren't ready to go and they need to go to the next tool, you're going to say, great, I'm going to get you the information, or I'm going to get this next tool to you. Now, it's also extremely important, everybody, on this 3-way call, that you're only putting people on a 3-way call who are showing a true interest. Like I'll often say, before I even get them to the 3-way call, I'll say, what do you like best? And they'll tell me. I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest level of learning more? And if it's like a 6, a lot of times I'll say, well, we're really looking for 7s or higher. And they'll either say, okay, well, I'm a 7, meaning, okay, I'm interested enough to raise my number a point. Or they'll say, well, I'm only a 6, meaning I'm not even interested enough to raise it a point. So if that's the case, I'm gonna say, listen, you see yourself getting a membership? I'm gonna go for just the membership. I'm not even gonna talk about business. But many people, they're gonna say, and if they're just saying they just want a membership, you don't even have to do a 3-way call, everybody. If they have questions, you can do the 3-way call. But if they're just saying, I just want to get a membership, just sign them up because they're not looking to share. But I just want everybody to understand that that whole process can be duplicated. And again, if they're a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10 and you put me on the phone, I've had this happen. And I'm like, hey, what'd you like best? Why am I talking with you? I'm not really into this at all. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for your time. My job is not to convince your person who doesn't like what they see. That's not what my role is. Okay, my role is to help the person who likes what they see to get their questions answered to the point where they're ready to make a decision to come on board as your new member. That's what our role is as an expert. And how do you become the expert? You do a bunch of 3-way calls where you're the person prospecting and you listen to how your expert answers the questions and handles that 3-way call. 3-way calls should not take long. Now, they normally can be like 5-10 minutes. That's how long they should be. Some are going to go a lot longer because the people might have a lot of questions. But remember, on your 3-way call, you don't want to be blowing them out with so much information that you're complicating the decision process. Their decision when they get this membership is not how much gold am I going to invest or how much silver am I going to invest. It's, do I want a membership? They're getting ahead of themselves when they start thinking about what they're going to do with their money and their gold and silver. So we need to bring them back to saying, hey, listen, that's a great question that you have, and it's a big decision. But hey, why not get the membership and then go through the education platform, and then you can make an educated decision about what to do with it. So remember, what we're marketing and what we're sharing everybody is the membership, and there is tremendous value in that. Okay, so I would encourage everybody, go out there and fill your funnel with folks. Get as many people as you can to plant the seed with. Just ask them what their thoughts are on gold and silver, and tell them. You can even say you're in a contest. Say, listen, I just need to get 10 people to see this week. But you want to get 10 people who are in play, not just 10 exposures. What I mean by 10 in play is this. These are 10 people that saw the information. They like what they see. They're in the process of reviewing more. You're inviting them out. These are 10 people that are really in that what's called a Class A prospect category. You've told them about the information in the business. They're taking a look at it. They're going through the process of maybe doing their research, which anybody's doing their research, I would send them to freedomgoldrush.com, freedomgoldrush.com. It's all great content, but it's stuff we want them to see, which is all factual. Not someone out there trying to get them to go buy gold and silver from them, trying to put our company down, which is what people do. Okay, so I encourage everybody, hopefully this was helpful for everybody to understand that 3-way calls and mastering the art of just you being the messenger and not the message is really the critical message here, because you're just the master of getting them to the info and then connecting them. If we connect them, I mean, just think about this, everybody. The community here is a huge draw for people, because in this time where there was a lot of isolation in the past year, now they have community again. And a lot of times like-minded community of people just want to protect everything they've worked so hard for. So we have that here, and this is our chance to seriously go out and impact a lot of lives. So use that system. Don't do it all yourself. Be part of that using those 3-way calls, and I think you'll be very happy with the results. It takes the pressure off too. It makes it fun. If you're doing it by yourself, I've seen people try and do it by themselves, and they've had some temporary success, but their team does not grow beyond them because it can't, because they don't have people who can duplicate what they did. And so that's why I just encourage everybody. We got the model, we got the system here. Let's go out there and make it happen. So that's it. That's all I had for everybody. But